This is ridiculous. Bottom line is, he's the president of the United States. He probably has other things that's on his mind. I want to know what book he's reading, and I want to know what he's saying. Why an ascot? Because I want my America back.
Roland brought to you by General Motors, the all-new 2014 Chevrolet Impala, an enduring icon. Forget the crossroads. Forge the crossroads. I'm sorry, let me start this over again. 2014 Chevrolet Impala, an enduring icon. Forged at the crossroads where classic meets contemporary. Find new roads. The 2014 Chevrolet Impala from our Washington studios. Roland Martin, good morning.
What up, Tom, Sybil, and Jay? Last few days, man, we have seen this sort of back and forth in this discourse in Black America with regards to old school, new school when it comes to activism and entertainment with Harry Belafonte and Jay-Z. On Friday, Harry Belafonte, he was down in Florida with the Dream Defenders, and he gave an interview with Chris Hayes on MSNBC, and he addressed this issue that folks have been talking about.
I made the observation that the highly powerful voice that our community has, Black America has, in that there is so much celebrity power that it was sad to see that the collective of the celebrity power has not been applied to bringing consciousness to the inequities that we face. And I would hope with all my heart that Jay-Z would not take personally what was said. I would like to take this opportunity to say to Jay-Z and to Beyonce, I'm wide open. My heart is filled with nothing but hope and the promise that we could sit and have a one-on-one and let's understand each other.
Really?
So I reached out to a journalist and...
Hello? Roland?
His line dropped?
Line dropped.
Who's the guest? Dream Hampton?
I'm here.
Okay. Sorry, Roland's studio line just dropped out. I think you heard his question. He wanted to get your opinion on what's going on with Harry Belafonte, Jay-Z, Beyonce, and this whole Dream Defenders protest that's going on in Tallahassee in the governor's office.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Shout out to the Dream Defenders. I'm so happy that they're doing the work that they're doing, and I think that it's amazing that Mr. Belafonte has joined them. This goes back a couple of months. Mr. Belafonte was, as he said, apparently asked a question by an interviewer. At the time, a story was floating around that Jay-Z only gives $6,000 a year to his own charity. And it was one of those stories that looked really well reported. But if anyone who's made six figures ever in their life just knows to be kind of impossible, let alone someone who makes $500 million, it just made no sense that for tax reasons, Jay would only be giving $6,000 a year to charity. And it just wasn't true. And it was one of those stories, I believe that it was in The Guardian, and it looked true. And I believe that Mr. Belafonte saw that somehow or heard it reported somehow. And he repeated it in his interview when he was abroad and was asked about, young entertainers doing the kind of work that he once did. Anyway, that certainly, I think, ruffled Jay's feathers. I don't think that anyone likes other people kind of counting their money. And then, of course, it was just false. And so Jay...
How do we know it's false? Did we see tax returns?
That Jay gave $6,000 to... Well, Jay has a 4-year... has been doing a college scholarship thing since actually his second album came out. And has sent more than 250 people with grades under 3.0, which are like some of the hardest people to get scholarships, through college with his Sean Carter Foundation.
Hey, Dream, I'm back here. I want to.
Hey, Roland.
I think there's a big difference between, and look, in terms of college scholarships, in terms of things along those lines, I think what Harry Belafonte is really talking about is entertainers today speaking out passionately on social justice issues, using their influence in terms of the generation. And I've said that he has more years behind them than in front of him, and he doesn't want to just hand the baton. He wants that person to squeeze the baton, because a lot of people don't even realize Harry in his day was the Jay-Z of his day. He was the first black matinee idol. And so I think what he's saying is he wants to see them really out front on issues that are impacting this generation, and not just a question of, well, I'm sending somebody to college. Can you weigh in on that?
I would say that Jay-Z is actually the Sidney Poitier of his time, who was actually a larger star and who wrote checks. Harry's best friend, back then, and Harry was absolutely a frontliner, but Harry had many friends. There's this myth that we have of the civil rights generation that everybody was locking arms with Martin Luther King.
Very true.
Marching, on these front lines. And Harry absolutely was one of those people. Now, we have to say also that Harry's work didn't reflect that. Stormy Weather wasn't a radical film. The movies that Harry was doing weren't radical, but in his spare time, he did lots of incredible, and continues, like other people of the generation who are less famous, like Randall Robinson with Trans-Africa, but Harry continues to do this work decades later.
But Roland and Dream, aren't we getting just caught up in this BS, for lack of a better word, and not really talking about what these kids are doing? Can we talk about this some other time? Can they have a confab some other time and get back to what these kids are trying to accomplish?
Now, you come with the Dream Defense. Well, let me finish this story about Sidney Poitier and being a check writer. Because Harry taught Sidney Poitier to go, and this is in Sidney's own autobiography. He talked him into going down south one time on a trip, and this is when they were doing their freedom ride and trying to register voters.
And it's in Harry's book, too.
Right. They had to go through a Klan town and hop in a trunk, right? Because, they had white allies, and the white drivers drove them through a particularly hostile town. They hopped out in the next town, and Sidney said, "Negro, next time I'm writing you a check." And Sidney never went back down to the South. I'm saying that there have always been check writers. And given how Jay-Z articulated himself the other day, I kind of don't think that he should be talking about political things. I think that what his role might be best as a check writer, as someone who sends 250 kids to school, sends $1 million down to Katrina, does the work that he's takes care of Sean Bell's children's education, doing the work that he's been doing quietly, which has always been an important part of all movement work.
But one thing I will say, the public challenge that Belafonte has given, even at the Image Awards, it has caused the likes of Jamie Foxx and others to say, I need to step up. And so I think for me, I think what he did was, but with the public challenge of not to just Jay-Z, of broader entertainers, he has sort of awakened the consciousness of some individuals. I think that really was the point. Not say just you, Jay-Z, but to say to many entertainers, you need to do more with what you have.
Get involved.
I say forget Jay-Z, forget Jamie Foxx, forget Beyonce. Look at the everyday people. Look at the kids down in Florida right now occupying the state capitol building, the Dream Defenders demanding a repeal to these laws. And that's how it has always been. That's another myth of the civil rights generation. We never talk about the everyday women in particular.
Want to put a famous face on.
Yeah, we do. But remember, to me, it should be.
I know I do. Unable to, but I'm saying the everyday person still doesn't know Diane Nash's name. She's still, to this day, she has problems paying her bills.
I will say this here: it shouldn't be either or. It can be and. It can be both.
I think
we
so
can actually
too.
do both.
All right,
I would say some celebrities not to ever say anything political.
That's why we got to educate them, Dream.